Have you ever felt like nothing is going the way you planned? Like every door you try to open stays shut, and every step forward somehow pulls you two steps back? In those moments, it's easy to believe that you've been forgotten, that your prayers are unheard, or that your life has somehow drifted off course. But even there, especially there, God is still working. God doesn't stop moving just because you can't see the movement. His plan doesn't pause when your circumstances become confusing. What feels like delay to you is often preparation in his hands. While you're waiting, wondering, even worrying, he is aligning things you cannot yet understand. Think about the times when life didn't go your way. At first, it may have felt like disappointment, even failure. But later, when you look back, you realize something important. What didn't work out was actually protecting you, redirecting you, or preparing you for something better. That's how God works. Quietly, faithfully, and always with purpose. Trusting his plan doesn't mean you'll always feel confident. It doesn't mean you'll never question or struggle. Trust means choosing to believe even when you don't have all the answers. It means holding on to faith when your emotions are pulling you in the opposite direction. Not opposite direction. God sees the full picture. You only see a small part. You see the closed door, but he sees the path ahead. You feel the pain of waiting, but he knows the right timing. Nothing in your life is random. Every moment, every setback, every delay is being woven into something meaningful. Sometimes God works by changing your situation. Other times he works by changing you. He strengthens your patience, deepens your faith, and shapes your character. And often those inner changes are the very things you need before the blessings you're asking for can arrive. You might be in a season where everything feels uncertain. Maybe you're praying for clarity, for breakthrough, for direction. Don't lose heart. Just because you don't see immediate results doesn't mean nothing is happening. Seeds grow in the dark before they ever break through the soil. Hold on to this truth. God is not late. He is never careless. He is never absent. He is intentional, and his timing is perfect, even when it doesn't match your expectations. So keep going, keep praying, keep trusting. Even on the days when your faith feels small, keep showing up. Because God is still writing your story, and he hasn't missed a single detail. What he started in your life, he will finish. What he promised, he will fulfill. And where you are right now is not the end. It's just part of the journey. Johnny still works. Even now, even here, even in you. It's natural to believe that if you can't see something happening, then nothing is happening at all. We tend to measure progress by visible results, by movement we can track, by changes we can point to and understand. But God's work doesn't depend on your ability to see it. Oh. In fact, some of his most powerful work happens in the unseen and the quiet spaces where doubt often tries to grow. There are moments in life when everything feels still. Prayers seem to echo without response. Opportunities don't appear, and the direction you hope for remains unclear. In those moments, it can feel like you've been left alone in your situation. But just because God is silent doesn't mean he is absent. Silence is not the same as inactivity. Behind the scenes, beyond your awareness, he is arranging, aligning, and preparing things in ways you cannot yet understand. Think about how many processes in life happen without being visible. Grow beneath the soil long before they break through the surface. A foundation is laid deep underground before a building ever rises. In the same way, God often works beneath the surface of your life, building something strong and lasting before it becomes visible to you. If everything were revealed instantly, there would be no need for faith. But faith grows in the waiting, in the trusting, in the believing without seeing. It's also important to recognize that God's perspective is far greater than yours. You see the present moment, but he sees the entire path. You focus on what is happening right now, but he understands how every detail connects to what is ahead. What feels like a pause to you may actually be a crucial step in a much larger plan. What looks like nothing may actually be everything coming together at the right time. There are times when you may look at your life and wonder why things aren't changing, why your efforts don't seem to be paying off, or why doors remain closed. It's easy in those moments to assume that nothing is working in your favor. But often God is working in ways that protect you from what you cannot see. He may be closing doors that will lead to harm, delaying opportunities that aren't right yet, or preparing something better than what you are asking for. Even in your personal growth, God is at work in ways you might not immediately notice. Changes in your mindset, your patience, your resilience, and your character don't always happen overnight. They develop gradually through experiences that challenge you and stretch you. You may not always recognize these changes while they are happening, but over time, they shape you into someone stronger and more prepared for what lies ahead. Doubt often grows in the absence of visible progress. It whispers that nothing is happening, that your situation will never change, that your efforts are pointless. But doubt is based on what you can see, while faith is rooted in what you believe to be true beyond your sight. Choosing faith means trusting that God is still working, even when your circumstances don't provide immediate evidence. It's also worth remembering that timing plays a significant role. Even if something is being prepared, it may not yet be the right moment for it to appear in your life. If everything happened instantly, you might not be ready for it. There are lessons to learn, strength to build, and perspectives to gain along the way. God's timing ensures that when something finally comes into your life, you are in the right place, mentally and spiritually, to receive it. You don't have to have everything figured out to trust that something is happening. You don't need constant signs or confirmations to believe that God is at work. Sometimes trust is simply choosing not to give up, even when the evidence feels thin. It's continuing to move forward, to hope, and to believe that your current situation is not the final outcome. Even when life feels uncertain, even when progress seems invisible, even when you question what is happening, God is still working. Not in ways that are always obvious, not in ways that always match your expectations, but in ways that are purposeful and intentional. And one day, when you look back, you may begin to see that what felt like stillness was actually movement, and what seemed like silence was filled with quiet, steady work all along. Waiting is one of the hardest experiences to endure, especially when you've done everything you know to do and still find yourself in the same place. When things don't move forward the way you expected, it's easy to interpret that delay as rejection. You begin to question your worth, your direction, and even your faith. But not every no is a denial, and not every delay is a dead end. Sometimes what feels like a setback is actually a setup for something greater than you can currently see. There is a natural tendency to want things to happen quickly. You make plans, set goals, and expect progress to follow in a straight, predictable line. But life rarely works that way, and neither does God's plan. What seems slow or stagnant from your perspective may actually be perfectly timed from a higher perspective. A delay does not mean you are being ignored. It often means something important is being prepared. Preparation is rarely comfortable. It often involves waiting, stretching, and growing in ways that feel inconvenient or even painful. You may be learning patience when you would rather be moving forward. You may be developing strength through challenges you didn't ask for. These moments can feel frustrating, but they serve a purpose. If certain blessings came too early, without the necessary growth or readiness, they could become burdens instead of gifts. Sometimes delays protect you from things you are not yet able to see. What looks like a missed opportunity could actually be a closed door that prevents future regret. What feels like being overlooked might be God redirecting you away from something that isn't aligned with your purpose. It's difficult to accept this in the moment because you don't have the full picture. You only see what you wanted, not what could have gone wrong. There are also times when delays are about alignment. It's not just about preparing you, it's about preparing the circumstances around you. The right people, the right opportunities, and the right timing all need to come together. Yeah. If one piece is out of place, the outcome may not be what it's meant to be. So while you are waiting, other things are being arranged in ways you may never fully see. Setbacks can feel like failures, but they often carry lessons that success cannot teach. When things don't go as planned, you are forced to adapt, to reflect, and to grow. These experiences shape your character and deepen your understanding. They build resilience, which becomes essential for handling what comes next. Without those lessons, you might reach your goal, but struggle to sustain it. it's also important to recognize that your perspective is limited to the present moment. You feel the disappointment now, the frustration now, the uncertainty now. But the purpose behind the delay often becomes clear only in hindsight. When you look back, you may realize that the timing you once questioned was actually protecting and guiding you all along. Patience is not just about waiting, it's about how you wait. It's about maintaining trust even when you don't have answers. It's about continuing to move forward, even if progress feels slow. Growth still happens in the waiting, even if it's not immediately visible. Your mindset, your strength, and your faith are all being shaped during these seasons. It's easy to compare your journey to others and feel like you are falling behind. You see people moving ahead, achieving milestones and reaching goals that you're still waiting for. But everyone's path is different, and timing is not the same for everyone. What is right for someone else at this moment may not be right for you yet. Your journey is being tailored in a way that fits your life and your purpose. Delays can also test your commitment. When something takes longer than expected, it reveals how much you truly value it. It challenges you to stay focused, to keep believing, and to continue putting in effort even when the results are not immediate. This process strengthens your dedication and ensures that when the opportunity finally comes, you are ready to embrace it fully. It's not easy to trust when things don't make sense. It's not easy to stay hopeful when you feel stuck. But a delay is not the end of your story. It's a part of the process that leads you to where you are meant to be. What feels like rejection today may turn out to be redirection towards something far better than what you originally wanted. In time, what you once saw as a setback may become something you are grateful for. You may begin to understand why things had to unfold the way they did. And you may realize that the delay was not there to hold you back, but to prepare you for something you weren't yet ready to receive. Trust doesn't come naturally when everything feels uncertain. It's easy to believe when things are going well, when doors are opening, and when life seems to confirm your expectations. But real trust is revealed in the moments when you don't understand what's happening, when outcomes are unclear, and when the path ahead feels hidden. It's in those moments that trusting God becomes a conscious choice rather than a comfortable feeling. There is a strong desire to have answers, to know how things will unfold, and to feel a sense of control over your future. Not knowing can feel unsettling. It can create anxiety, doubt, and hesitation. You may find yourself asking questions that don't seem to have immediate answers. Why is this happening? Where is this leading? When will things change? These questions are natural, but trust means continuing forward even when those questions remain unresolved. Believing without having all the answers requires humility. It means accepting that your understanding is limited and that you don't need to have everything figured out in order for things to work out. You may not see how the pieces connect, but that doesn't mean they aren't forming a bigger picture. Trust involves releasing the need to control every detail and allowing space for something greater than your own understanding to take shape. It's important to recognize that uncertainty is not the same as chaos. Just because you don't see a clear plan doesn't mean there isn't one. What feels uncertain to you may be perfectly ordered from a higher perspective. You are experiencing one moment at a time, while everything beyond that moment is still unfolding. Trusting in that process means believing that there is direction even when you can't yet see it. Doubt often grows when answers are delayed. It whispers that things won't work out, that you're on the wrong path, or that you've been forgotten. These thoughts can feel convincing because they are tied to your current circumstances. But circumstances are temporary, and they don't always reflect the full truth. Trust means choosing not to let temporary feelings override a deeper belief that there is purpose behind what you're going through. Letting go of the need for constant clarity doesn't mean you stop thinking. It means you hold your plans loosely. You do your part, you make decisions with the wisdom you have, and then you accept that not everything will go exactly as expected. There's a balance between effort and surrender. You continue to move forward, but you remain open to changes, redirection, and outcomes that may look different from what you imagine. Trust is also built through experience. When you look back at your life, there are likely moments when things didn't make sense at the time, but later became clear. Situations that once felt confusing may have led to growth. new opportunities, or unexpected blessing. Remembering those moments can strengthen your ability to trust again, even when you're facing something new and uncertain. There is a quiet strength in choosing trust. Yeah? It doesn't always look dramatic or obvious. Sometimes it simply looks like continuing your daily life, doing what you can, and refusing to give in to fear or despair. It's waking up each day and deciding that even without full clarity, you will keep going. That kind of trust is steady and resilient even when emotions fluctuate. It's also important to accept that trust doesn't eliminate difficulty. You may still face challenges, delays, and moments of confusion. Trust doesn't guarantee an easy path. It provides stability within the uncertainty. It gives you a sense of grounding when everything else feels unpredictable. Instead of being overwhelmed by every unknown, you learn to move through them with a sense of quiet confidence. At times, you may wish for clear signs or immediate answers to confirm that you're on the right path. But if every step were fully explained in advance, there would be no room for growth. Part of the journey is learning to walk forward without complete visibility. Each step you take in trust builds strength and deepens your ability to rely on something beyond what you can see. Control can feel comforting, but it is often an illusion. No matter how much you plan, there will always be elements of life that are beyond your control. Trusting means accepting that reality and choosing peace over constant striving for certainty. It allows you to release the pressure of needing to know everything and instead focus on what you can do in the present moment. Even when your faith feels small, it still matters. Trust doesn't require perfection. It doesn't require that you never question or struggle. It simply requires that you keep choosing to believe, even in small ways, that there is purpose and direction in your life. Over time, those small choices build a stronger foundation. Not having all the answers can feel uncomfortable, but it also creates space for growth, discovery, and transformation. Trusting in that space allows you to move forward without being paralyzed by uncertainty. It allows you to believe that even when you don't understand the process, there is still meaning behind it, and your journey is still unfolding in a way that matters. Failure has a way of feeling final. When something doesn't work out, it can leave you questioning your decision, your abilities, and even your sense of direction. It's easy to look at a closed door and assume it means you weren't good enough, or that you made the wrong choice. But what appears to be failure in the moment is not always what it truly is. Sometimes it is a form of protection, quietly keeping you from something that wasn't meant for you. There are situations where everything seems right from your perspective, and the opportunity looks perfect, the timing feels ideal, and your expectations are high. When it falls apart, the disappointment can feel overwhelming. You replay events in your mind, wondering what went wrong, what you could have done differently. But not every outcome is within your control, and not every outcome is meant to match your expectation. There are factors you cannot see, outcomes you cannot predict, and consequences you cannot fully understand in the moment. What you call failure may actually be a closed path that would have led to greater difficulty. It could be a situation that seemed promising on the surface but carried challenges or consequences that would have been harmful in the long run. Being redirected away from that path may feel painful now, but it can prevent deeper regret later. Protection doesn't always feel like relief. Sometimes it feels like loss at first. Redirection is another hidden purpose behind what feels like failure. When one path ends, it forces you to consider alternatives you may have ignored before. It pushes you out of familiar territory and into new possibilities. At the time, this shift can feel uncomfortable and uncertain, but it can also lead you towards something more aligned with your growth and your purpose. Without that initial disappointment, you might never have explored a better direction. It's difficult to accept redirection when you are emotionally attached to a specific outcome. You may have invested time, effort, and hope into something that didn't work out. Letting go of that investment can feel like losing a part of yourself, but holding on too tightly to what didn't happen can prevent you from seeing what could happen next. Sometimes the end of one path is the necessary beginning of another. Failure also has a way of revealing truth. It can show you what works and what doesn't, what aligns with you and what doesn't. It brings clarity. Even if that clarity comes through discomfort, you may learn more about your strengths, your limits, and your values through failure than you ever could through success alone. These lessons become valuable as you move forward, helping you make better decisions and approach new opportunities with greater awareness. There is also growth that comes from facing disappointment. It builds resilience, teaching you how to recover, adapt, and continue. Without these experiences, it would be difficult to develop the strength needed for future challenges. Success without struggle can feel satisfying, but it doesn't always prepare you for what comes next. Failure, on the other hand, shapes your character in ways that last. It's important to understand that failure is not a reflection of your worth. It is an event, not an identity. It is something that happens, not something you become. When you separate your sense of self from the outcome, it becomes easier to see failure as part of a larger process rather than a defining moment. This shift in perspective allows you to move forward without carrying unnecessary self-doubt. Timing also plays a role. What feels like failure now may simply mean that something was not right for this moment. It doesn't always mean a never. Sometimes it means a not yet or a not this way. There may be skills to develop, perspectives to gain, or circumstances that need to change before the right opportunity appears. What you experience now can be part of preparing you for something that will make more sense later. Comparison can make failure feel even heavier. Seeing others succeed where you have struggled can lead to frustration and self-doubt. But every path is different and every journey unfolds in its own time. What works for someone else may not be meant for you, and what is meant for you will not pass you by. Trusting that allows you to focus on your own path instead of measuring it against others. It takes time to see the purpose behind disappointment. In the moment, it may only feel like loss. But as time passes and your perspective widens, you may begin to notice how one closed door led to another opportunity, how one setback guided you toward a better direction, or how one failure taught you something essential. These connections often become clear only in hindsight. Letting go of what didn't work out is not about ignoring the pain. It's about allowing that pain to have meaning. It's about trusting that even in moments of disappointment, something is shifting, something is being adjusted, and something is being prepared. What feels like an ending may not be the end at all, but rather a turning point that leads you towards something you couldn't have reached otherwise. In time, what once felt like failure may become something you are grateful for. Not because it was easy, but because it led you to a place you wouldn't have discovered without it. It may have protected you from what wasn't right, redirected you toward what is, and shaped you into someone stronger and more prepared for what lies ahead. Difficult seasons have a way of revealing what comfort often hides. When life is smooth and predictable, it's easy to move forward without deeply examining your faith, your mindset, or your inner strength. But when challenges arise, when things feel uncertain or overwhelming, something deeper begins to take shape within you. These moments, as uncomfortable as they are, become the ground where real growth happens. It's natural to want to avoid hardship. No one willingly chooses struggle, uncertainty, or pain. When you find yourself in the middle of it, your first instinct may be to escape it as quickly as possible. You may question why it's happening or wish for an easier path. But difficult seasons are not always obstacles meant to stop you. Often, they are processes meant to develop you. Strength is not built in moments of ease. It grows when you are stretched beyond what feels comfortable, when you are required to keep going, despite feeling tired, discouraged, or unsure. Each challenge you face adds to your resilience. It teaches you that you are capable of more than you once believed. Over time, what once felt overwhelming may become something you can handle with greater confidence and calm. Faith also deepens in these seasons. When everything is going well, it's easy to feel secure and confident. But when things become uncertain, faith is no longer just a concept. It becomes something you actively rely on. You learn to trust even when you don't have clear answers. You learn to hold on to hope when your circumstances don't immediately reflect it. This kind of faith is not shallow or temporary. It is tested and strengthened through experience. There is also a shift in perspective that happens during difficult times. You begin to see what truly matters. Priorities become clearer. Things that once seemed important may lose their significance, while values like patience, perseverance, and inner peace take on greater meaning. This clarity can guide your decisions moving forward, helping you build a life that is more aligned with what truly matters to you. Character is shaped in these moments as well. Qualities like patience, humility, compassion, and endurance are not developed overnight. They are formed through experiences that challenge you to respond in ways that are not always easy. You may be faced with situations that test your attitude and your willingness to keep going. Each time you choose to respond with strength rather than giving in to frustration, you are shaping who you are becoming. It's important to recognize that growth often happens gradually. You may not notice the changes right away. In the middle of a difficult season, it can feel like nothing is improving. But over time, small shifts begin to add up. You may find yourself handling situations differently, thinking more clearly, or responding with greater patience than before. These are signs that something within you is changing. Even if the external situation hasn't yet improved, there's also a sense of endurance that develops. You learn how to keep going, even when motivation is low. You learn how to move forward without relying solely on how you feel in the moment. This ability to persist becomes valuable in every area of life. It allows you to face future challenges with a stronger sense of stability, knowing that you had difficult times before. Difficult seasons can also increase your empathy toward others. When you have experienced struggle yourself, it becomes easier to understand what others are going through. You become more compassionate, more patient, and more willing to support those who are facing their own challenges. This not only strengthens your relationships, but also adds depth to your character. It's easy to assume that growth only comes from positive experiences, but some of the most meaningful development comes from the opposite. Challenges force you to adapt, to reflect, and to find strength in places you didn't know existed. They push you to grow in ways that comfort never could. While you may not choose these experiences, they often play a significant role in shaping who you become. There are moments when you may feel like giving up, when the weight of everything feels too heavy. In those moments, it's important to remember that growth is not always about moving quickly. Sometimes it's about simply not stopping. Continuing, even in small ways, is still progress. Each step forward, no matter how small, contributes to the person you are becoming. Over time, you may begin to see that the difficult season you once wished away had a purpose. It may have strengthened your faith, deepened your understanding, and shaped your character in ways that prepared you for what came next. What once felt like a period of struggle may later be recognized as a time of transformation. These seasons are not easy, and they are not meant to be. They are meaningful. They carry the potential to develop strength, deepen faith, and shape character in lasting ways. Even when the process feels slow and the outcome is unclear, something valuable is being formed within you, something that will remain long after the season itself has passed. Timing is one of the hardest things to understand when you are in the middle of waiting. You can want something deeply, pray for it sincerely, and work toward it consistently, yet still find yourself in a season where nothing seems to be moving forward. In those moments, it can feel like things are not working out, but often what is really happening is that the timing is not yet aligned with what is ahead. There's a natural desire for things to happen when you are ready for them. When you feel prepared, when your intentions are clear, and when your effort is strong, it seems reasonable to expect immediate results. But life does not always respond to readiness alone. There are layers of timing that go beyond personal preparation. Circumstances, opportunities, people, and conditions all have to align in ways that are not always visible to you. What feels like delay is often a form of protection. If something arrives too early before you are fully prepared for it, it can become overwhelming rather than beneficial. There are blessings that require maturity, patience, wisdom, and emotional stability to handle properly. Without those elements in place, even something good can become difficult to manage. Timing ensures that when something comes into your life, you are in a position to receive it in the right way. There is also a broader picture that you cannot always see. While you are focused on your immediate desires, there are other factors unfolding around you. Situations are shifting, people are changing, and new opportunities are forming. What you are waiting for may depend on events that are still developing. Until those pieces come together, things may appear stagnant. But in reality, preparation is still happening behind the scenes. Patience and timing requires a shift in perspective. Instead of viewing waiting as wasted time, it becomes a period of preparation. Even when nothing seems to be happening externally, internal growth can still be taking place. Your mindset may be strengthening, your understanding may be deepening, and your emotional resilience may be increasing. These developments are just as important as the outcome you are waiting for. It is also important to understand that timing is not only about delay, but also about readiness. Sometimes what you are waiting for requires you to grow into a version of yourself that is capable of handling it. Without that growth, receiving what you want too soon could lead to confusion or difficulty. The waiting period helps shape you into someone who can manage not just the opportunity itself, but everything that comes with it. Frustration often arises when you compare your timing to others. You may see people achieving things faster, reaching milestones sooner, or stepping into opportunities before you. This can create doubt or impatience, but each journey is unique, and timing is not universal. What is right for one person at a certain stage of life may not be right for another. Your timing is shaped by your own path, your own lessons, and your own preparation. There is also value in the process itself. The waiting period can teach you things that immediate success cannot. It can teach discipline, consistency, humility, and trust. These qualities become essential for sustaining what you eventually receive. Without them, even a long-awaited opportunity may not last or may not be fully appreciated. Timing ensures that you not only receive something, but are also prepared to maintain and grow with it. Sometimes, timing protects you from outcomes that you are not aware of. What looks like a missed opportunity may actually be a hidden safeguard. There are situations that may seem perfect at first, but will lead to difficulties later on. When something does not happen as expected, it may be because the timing is preventing you from stepping into something that is not truly aligned with your long-term well-being. It is not always easy to accept this in the moment. When you want something deeply, waiting can feel uncomfortable and confusing. But understanding that timing is working in your favor, even when it doesn't feel like it, can bring a sense of peace. It allows you to release the pressure of forcing outcomes and instead focus on continuing your journey with patience and trust. Looking back, many people realize that some of the things they once wanted did not happen when they expected them to, and that later timing made more sense. What once felt like a delay turned out to be necessary preparation. What once felt like rejection turned out to be redirection. Over time, perspective changes, and the timing that once felt frustrating begins to reveal its purpose. Even when progress feels slow, timing is still unfolding. Each day is part of a larger process that is moving you toward what is meant for you. It may not always align with your expectations, but it is still working toward a meaningful outcome. Trusting that allows you to move through waiting with more patience and less resistance, knowing that when the right moment arrives, it will bring clarity, alignment, and readiness all at once. In the end, understanding God's timing brings peace to the waiting heart. It helps you realize that nothing is truly delayed, nothing is wasted, and nothing is forgotten. Every pause has purpose, every delay has direction, and every season is working together to prepare you for what is meant to come. When the right moment arrives, you will see that it was never about being early or late, but about being ready and aligned with what was already being prepared for you all along.